Hello. So we did a video a couple videos back about why is gold considered money, why is gold considered money, and it got me searching into I came across a video about Bitcoin and what that is, and it's a great video. I'm going to put in the notes below so you can take a look at it yourself. It's about 30 minutes long. It does a really good job of explaining why Bitcoin is like gold and can serve as a money, not just a currency, but money. And it's because it's got those things, right? It requires energy to mine it, and it is divisible and it's transferable, and it holds. I guess the question is, does it hold its value like gold does? I'm not really sure. I feel like they answered it in the video, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. If you don't know what Bitcoin is or cryptocurrencies are, since accounting has ever happened, since people have kept accounting books, the problem of double ledger has always been an issue. The idea that I could write a ledger, but then you could, and it says it's tracking all the numbers of our accounts, but someone else could also take a copy of that ledger and doctor the numbers and do false bookings and things like that. So the reason why internet money couldn't exist was because, well, it's just ones and zeros, and people could go and fudge the books and copy the digital money and have their own version of it. So one piece of the puzzle for cryptocurrencies is this distributed ledger. Basically, that there is only a single ledger. It just exists as copies over tens of thousands of computers. Before a transaction happens, everyone checks to see that all of the ledgers check the other ledgers. I think there's like a certain number of times that a certain number of checks that it has to pass through, and it's not that many, but it is enough that it keeps right now the transactions are slow. They're going to get faster. But anyways, it checks all the other ledgers before it writes it into the ledger, and then once it writes into the ledger, it writes it into all the ledgers, so they all stay in sync. That's piece one of why this is revolutionary technology. The other part you kind of have to understand is, I can shorten it to this. There are only so many prime numbers that are divisible by more than just one in itself, between 1 and 100. Let's say I don't actually know how. I was going to look this up today. I forgot to do it. But let's say there's 14 numbers between 14 prime numbers, maybe more than that, between 1 and 0, and every prime number is now worth something because it takes calculations like many cycles of a computer to calculate if it's prime or not. Obviously, it's a simple example, but this is what the algorithm for Bitcoin or for cryptocurrencies is doing. It's going out there and trying to calculate, is this next number in the sequence prime or not? It's not doing that, but this is my example. Since there's only so many of them, having a piece or owning that prime number has value because there's only so many people who can have it. So you're trading, and that becomes a ledger entry. So what people are doing is they're trading their ledger space because there's only so many of them that exist. Bitcoin there's a finite supply, like gold. Like we're talking about, gold has a not an infinite number. You can't just make up more gold the way they can just print more dollar bills. The same thing with the Bitcoin spaces. It's only because of the calculation of the algorithm, we're only going to give you the prime numbers between 1 and 200 million or 25 million, 25 million Bitcoins. So that ever can be calculated. So let's say that we're saying that we're defining Bitcoin as the prime numbers between 1 and 25 million, and it has to go out and calculate all the prime numbers, and then they each get their slot. But that's a lot of computer power and like my example, the calculation it takes to decide whether this number is prime or not, in my example, is harder and harder as it goes further and further out. So the time it takes to calculate the next Bitcoin gets exponentially harder. Therefore, it becomes there's less and less of them created in the same amount of time as it did when they were first being mined. Is what they call it. So that's why there is that the amount of time and energy it takes to calculate whether this is a Bitcoin or not is like the amount of time and energy it takes to pull gold out of the ground and refine it and stamp it into a coin. There's value in that. Once again, we're trading time and energy and resources in a way that is not mimicable. It's not, you can't just make it up out of thin air like you can with paper bills. It's divisible and it's transferable. So that's why Bitcoin has money. It has value, And that's what, again, the video that I'm going to link down below is going to explain this better than I am. I'm giving you the cab of the truck explanation of things. I probably could have called this channel Cab of the Truck Explanation of Things, but it's kind of a long title. I like chaotic neutral gear. It's actually going to be, by the way, chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral is a D&D term, like you're neutral, but you're chaotically neutral. You're so emphatic about being in the middle that you take it to an extreme of being chaotically in the middle. And then I had to add gear at the end because apparently chaotic neutral was already taken. And I thought neutral gear, like I'm in neutral, just kind of coasting. Anyways, so look at the video down below. It's been a half an hour. It's well produced and everything, and it's going to take you about a half hour to get through it. But it's worth it if you're interested in finding out like what is everybody talking about? Because right now the cryptos are exploding in price, and people are starting to wake up again. They exploded in price at the end of 2017, and then 2018, and most of up to this point, we've been in a bear market. People have been selling off, and the prices dropped down again. But we're now starting to climb again. So if you're interested in it, there's no investment advice except for get educated on what they are, why they do meet the definition of money, and then decide whether you want to purchase some of your own. I do believe that it's going to replace the currencies that we have now over time. It's going to be a mix of this and other things, but I believe that they're going to have value, increasingly so in the future. So I'm kind of in the game. You might want to be too. You might not. You might think I'm just crazy. This is all just like woo crazy electric digital stuff. But I got to see the picture, and I think again the video down below is going to explain it even better than I am. Well, hope that helps. I'm going to get out of here so I can get into traffic before I get clipped. Peace.